More predictions. We've got Muslims invading Europe. Europe is a wasteland. Communism taking over the world. And yes, we have an end date for the planet Earth. Coming up on Talk is Cheap. Welcome to Talk is Cheap, where cheap is talk and talk is cheap. My name's Pete Hallbleib. And of course, with me as always is, to my right,
Dan Holfeld. How you doing there, Peter?
oh, very good, very good. How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Good, good.
Sticking in there.
Right on, good. And Dustin Long is joining us as well.
It's Dusty. Every fucking
time
Dusty.
You know what? So shoot me for trying to bring an air of formalism to these proceedings,
Oh,
Mr. Long.
I'm really formal.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. Yeah, he does it all the time. Even at work with my damn name tag where it says Dusty. You know why?
I don't
We
know.
have sort
This
of
is
a
that parallel
problem
universe
here.
where you knew me as Dustin.
Dusty, yeah.
Well, everybody calls me Dano, and mine says Dan, so.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I like Dano.
Well, before we dive in, to my topic today, this is the time of year where bounties are plentiful. It's gardening. It's summer, and I'm a bit of a gardener, and I like to do some preserving and stuff like that. So I brought something for us to try.
Oh, shit.
Nice.
This year, and it shouldn't kill you, I don't think. But hold on, let me get it.
Put some like footsteps going out right
Yeah.
where you.
Okay.
Oh, shit. Can we get some napkins?
Oh yeah, we're gonna want a couple paper
Oh,
towelings.
TC,
Thank
throw
you.
in the paper
Yep,
towel,
I
baby.
already made a mess of my workstation.
Ah, gracias, amigo.
It's not like we have like electronics and stuff over here we have to worry about.
Of course not.
Yeah. Okay, so let me get this cleaned up here quick.
He opens it up and everything starts sparking and
Yeah.
shit. Right.
I'm gonna pass this down to Dusty and fish one out, and then you take one, Dan, and then pass it back to me. And on
I got to pass it to Dusty first, or can I
Oh,
take
you
one
can
now?
fish one off.
Okay, I didn't
Yeah.
know if there was something
No.
planted.
Yeah.
What
no,
the fuck?
no.
Dusty can't be first. Dan's like, no, me first.
Yep. Does anybody over on the couch want to try it? TC wants to try it. Come on, Jenna.
You guys want to be on the camera, you got to get back here.
Yeah. Andy, you want in on this action?
Did you pull the battery?
Yeah, it's done.
Are you shitting me?
Well, it won't record. It'll keep stopping.
Oh, my God.
I should have taken a smaller one.
You licked yours off when you took it out.
Yeah.
Bad.
No, it's nice.
Yeah. Little
Did you say there's hairs in it? No, don't bite it yet. What the hell, man?
It's dill.
Jen, you sure?
No, I'm good.
She hates like spicy
hates
stuff.
pickles?
Yeah. No, she doesn't.
Okay.
Pickles.
So what we've got here is a little homebrew concoction of a ghost pepper dill pickle.
Smells good.
Gentlemen, here's to all things great. Enjoy, and let's dig in.
Cheers.
That's good.
Good initial flavor, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's a nice little burn.
Yeah,
to
I
it.
can feel it kicking in.
Yep, and it's going to slowly kick in a little bit. We had a discussion a little bit about how we were being a little lethargic today as we were getting together, so
Hot
perfect
day, hot
timing.
pickle, right?
Yep.
Oh, that's really good. I actually like hot stuff.
Right.
It's just about the right amount.
Yeah, right. It's not going to cripple you, and that's some.
looks like he's gonna die.
Damn, those are good.
Yeah, would you like another one? Yep, grab one. Take him over there.
Ooh, that's
Hey,
good.
towel boy here.
Yeah, I'm starting to sweat myself.
Sponge, nurse, sponge.
So, hopefully we'll get to see some more of that stuff. But anyway, I figured, what a great group of guys to share that with. Yeah, not bad. Yeah. Dusty, I was expecting you to change a little color. So,
I like spicy food.
Jenna, do you feel bad now that you didn't participate with the rest of us?
Well, you should.
Yeah, well, you should.
No, I'm good.
Hey, we'll want to keep an eye on Andy because he grabbed a second one with ghost peppers. The more you eat, the more heat that you get. So
So you can save the heating bill in the winter? Is that the idea?
yeah, right. It warms you on the inside as well as gives you courage, right? Ooh. No, wait, that's alcohol. Okay. So you folks know that I'm, interested in predictions and stuff like that, and for lack of a better term, like fortune telling stuff. Nostradamus is probably the most well known seer of future events, predicted allegedly a lot of different stuff. Well, a couple weeks ago, I was just kind of cruising around some of the dark corners of the internet, and I came across this gal named Beba Vanga, and she's not from this country. She is called the Nostradamus of the Balkans. She's Bulgarian, and what's really cool about her is that it all started when she was caught up in a very terrible storm when she was a young girl. Some folks say a tornado that then deposited her several miles from where she was picked up, or she was found several miles from her home, and she was blinded by the debris and the wind and stuff, and they tried to get her eyesight back, and they couldn't, but she started having these predictions. In addition to that, she also developed the healing touch power of the healing touch as well, so she would be able to cure certain ailments as well. With just by touching. And this is so what people say this stuff all the time, right? Well, world leaders from that area used to visit her and bring her in for consultations and stuff like that, so they were taking her seriously in the area that she was. What's interesting is that she had many predictions. She predicted the rise of ISIS, the stock market crash, the Twin Towers, stuff like that. But she really has some interesting things to say about 2016. Unfortunately, she's passed away 20 years ago in 1996.
Ooh.
But some of her predictions from that time have come true. The most kind of profound to me was that she said that the 44th American president would be African American, and that's Barack Obama. And she also said,
but he's Muslim,
that he would be the last president of the United States. So, I wanted to talk a little bit
with what we have to vote for. I'm all right with that.
Yeah, right. And keep that thought, because the current political situation and the climate in the country could potentially lead into what she's describing. So anyway, there's a picture of her back when she was at the end of her days. She was getting old there. I think I gave a good enough backstory. I don't need to read this part. But I talked about some of her predictions, and I'm going to quick go through. We'll talk about 13 predictions. That gives us about a minute per to keep things moving here on the show. Excuse me, that pickle's starting to linger here for me. Okay, so I already alluded to this. Barack Obama will be the last president of the United States. She had predicted that the 44th U.S. president would be an African American, and added, by the way, would be the last one. According to her, he would leave office at a time when the country would be in economic ruins, and there would be a huge divide between the northern and southern states. Okay, now we're not gonna, I don't think, argue too much about the cusp of the economic situation that we're in, or the economic situation we're in right now. And a huge divide, I wouldn't necessarily say between the northern and southern states, but we've got a huge divide in our country right now, right? Between two, I guess I will say, kind of fanatical wings of the current major parties, right?
Well, wait, can I interject just quickly? When she said the last one, could it be the last African American president of the United States?
That's a good question.
Well, yeah, very good question. Could be. We'll see. I suppose.
We have the New World Order, then it wouldn't be a president of the United States. It would be a president of the world or something, in which case that he would actually be the last African-American.
Or is it possible that martial law will be declared and he will remain president indefinitely? That's another option, too.
Like an emperor.
Yep, right. I declare martial laws, elections are suspended, and then they run it. But Europe will cease to exist. Okay, the continent will cease to exist by 2016. Oh, we better hurry up, right?
Like we want that.
Yeah, okay. So, and all would remain would be empty spaces and wasteland, nearly devoid of any form of life. Kind of what you'd picture your mind in, say, some sort of nuclear or major biological kind of
Mad Max style,
yeah, right? Chemical weapons would be used by extremists against Europe. She also said that Muslims would invade Europe. I guess that some people would argue that invasion has started. I mean, Germany just suffered 3 terrorist attacks within a week You know,
and then all the refugees that are in France right now are
Yep.
causing all sorts of problems.
is that a Muslim invasion as well with all these Muslim refugees? And she predicted that a great Muslim war will begin in Syria. Now, mind you, she's dead 20 years ago. And what are we doing right now in Syria? It's kind of scary. That's eerily close, isn't it? We'll see how great the war becomes.
Jesus.
Yep. China will become the new superpower. I don't think that surprises anybody. I think that, especially those sitting in this room right now, probably have a sneaking suspicion that that's probably going to happen. It's scary. You know, China owns close to 50% of all American debt. You know, their military outnumbers us 10-1, and
They're making huge strides in their technology.
yes,
and the
they are.
military,
They're finally coming around, and in industry as well.
Yeah.
So, they're set to become the new superpower in 2018, bringing an end to the United States and its economy. Okay, if China calls in our debt or whatever, it could ruin our economy, right? According to her, the exploiters, the developed nations, will become exploited third world. And in 2011, the International Monetary Fund has also predicted that China's economy will overtake that of the U.S. in 2016. Isn't that interesting as well? So that we've got some things close. That was what's so neat here. So we're so close to the end of 2016. And
Yeah.
these types of predictions happen all the time, and some come true, some don't. Right? You know, and maybe it's luck of the guess. But people have gone back and looked at Beba Vanga's predictions, and she's about 80% right. Okay, so that's kind of enough to get myself a little interested. It was obvious enough to get world leaders interested in having conversations with her about it as well. So pretty interesting, huh, so far. Hunger eradication. Well, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, that's really good.
It will get eradicated sometime between 2025 and 2028. Cool. We're going to go to Venus. Looking.
That one guy tried to, but
Yeah. Looking for a new energy source. Okay, they might even set up a colony there. Now, I would say that one could argue that maybe Mars is that planet, not Venus, right?
A lot of people say Venus is, we should actually be looking at Venus.
Venus, because it's still got much better chance for life and all that stuff.
Well, yeah, because you can live in the Cloud City I constantly talk about.
Yep.
Yeah, that's closer, easier to get to, and all everything else. So there's a lot of scientists out there saying that we should be looking at colonizing Venus before Mars.
Yep.
So
Sure, yep, that conversation's ongoing right now. Ice caps melting. According to Beba, the ice caps will melt by 2045. And in the comment here, you know, we already know that at times the ice caps are melting. Now there's different discussions on ice coverage and ice quantities. That's two different things. So when you talk about, there's more ice now in the North Pole, well, that's not necessarily the old ice. So the ice caps are melting. Ocean levels are rising right now. So she was on with that 20 years ago, right?
one quick question though. Have you guys ever put like glass or ice in a glass? If the ice melts, it takes up less room than the ice. So I don't get how melting.
Because the ice expands traps oxygen in it. Yep. Because when water freezes, it traps oxygen, so it gets bigger. You know, don't believe me? Fill up a water bottle and right to the top and put it in your freezer, and it'll be out. Yep. That's why soda and beer explode when it freezes.
But wouldn't if it melts, it takes up less space then?
Yep. But
so how would it flow?
But the thing is that right now the vast majority of the ice is, or I shouldn't say the vast majority. There's a huge amount of ice above the water.
Yeah, it's on land.
Yeah, part of this ice, not
and...
all of the ice caps are necessarily floating in the ocean. It's some of them are sitting in mountains in forms of glaciers and things like that. When that melts, it goes down.
So there is land up in Antarctica.
Oh yeah, down in Antarctica, up in the Arctic.
Arctic, yeah.
We talk a lot about Antarctica because it seems to have a little bit more significance. With
the show,
ultra terrestrial folks. Yeah, the show. Thank you. Operation High Jump, stuff like that.
I love.
So going on cloning of organs.
That's already happening.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Body organs will be cloned in 2046. What this could mean too is that organ cloning is available now for people for
Right. I
transplant.
would think so
That'd
because
be
they
great.
already are.
Because we're growing ears on the backs of
Yeah.
rats and shit
Yep.
right now.
And that's
but
public.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
What are
Imagine
the,
what's not.
yeah. Right.
Yeah.
The 3D printing. Ears,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah. They're 3D printing prosthetics. Wait
Yep.
until they can 3D print a kidney or something.
Oh yeah,
Functioning
it'd be
kidney.
great.
So stay tuned. In about another 30 years, we'll see if that one comes true. U.S. is going to attack Muslim-dominated Europe by 2066. The U.S. will attack Muslim-dominated Europe using a climate change weapon.
Like HARP.
Right? Isn't this interesting how her predictions are tying into the stuff that we've been talking about? And we know that we're already, that chemtrails is a real thing. Okay.
Yep.
It is proven fact that the government and other entities have been spraying chemicals in the atmosphere for different effects for a long time.
Yep.
That used to be a huge thing that conspiracists would get laughed in
Right.
their faces to talk about. But it happens. It's acknowledged now by many levels of the government, including NASA. Okay, so the return of communism is coming too. 2076, communism will return to Europe and the rest of the world.
You know, the interesting thing about communism, it has a really bad stigma, but if you get to the really basis of what communism is, it's, I mean, if you could run a country or a world on communism without the corruption, it would work.
Yes, yep.
It really would. It holds water. It's
And-
just you always have corruption.
Yeah, we couldn't. The only way we wouldn't get the corruption is like with ALB, like they had those computers running it that had no human.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
you go.
Manipulation,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yep.
Now
yep.
that I
because
could
then
see in-
emotions and stuff. Yeah, because really you talk about communism and you talk about socialism. Well, that's just a form of communism. But already in our country we've got a lot of socialist and communist
Programs.
programs that we're using. It's
Mm-hmm.
just we're not calling them that. We've kind of cherry picked the things that have worked. Anything infrastructure wise. Road systems a great example,
Yep.
right? Things like that.
Social security,
Yeah, social
healthcare,
yeah,
all
right.
those things
Yep.
are socialist.
Public schools, right?
Yep. But people don't like using those words because of the stigma that goes
Yeah,
along
right.
with it.
Yep, and it's from the stigma by the powers that are the capitalist powers that are controlling the country. So you got to be careful.
The elite 3 or 1% that
Yeah,
has all the damn money.
communism's bad because they're sharing everything.
Yeah, we don't want that.
Yeah, we
Just keep sending your shit my way.
Yep, right. There you go.
Assholes.
We're in 100 or so years we'll be developing underwater civilizations, and this makes perfect sense. When you talk about ultra-terrestrial people, the hollow earth theories and stuff like that, people living under the earth, think of the climate at the bottom of the ocean compared to on the surface. It doesn't change nearly as much. You don't experience the storms, the radiation from the sun, stuff like that. So it's a very ideal place to set up stuff.
What's interesting, it says with the help of aliens, and I know why that is because they're living under there right now.
Yeah, I knew you.
So they're going to show us how it's
I knew you
done.
were going to go there, and I have to agree.
Yeah,
It makes sense, right?
I have to agree with you as well. Is that if we have, alien interaction on Earth, which I tend to think that there is a good chance that could be going on. Where do they live? They don't build a castle in the mountains. They go underground. They go underwater,
Yeah.
right? Where
we don't go.
Where we don't go, and B, think of how they don't have to worry about natural disasters nearly as much. Sure, if you're underground or under the ocean, you got to worry about earthquakes and volcanoes and stuff like that. But they're not setting up on a fault. They're
Yeah.
aliens, right? They got to be at least have some common sense.
Right.
They
if you have a
developed interplanetary travel and interstellar travel. So
And if you could make your underwater city actually float, not on the ground
Yep.
and not on the top, you're actually really protected because all those waves and whatnot. Since there's so much water, it doesn't actually affect you at all. And they've I was watching the tsunami things. They're talking about having buoys that are in this certain level, and all they feel is a pressure differential because of that wave.
Yep.
But they actually don't. It's not like they shifted a lot.
Yeah,
So
it's
you
not
could-
like they're getting bucked around under that.
Not
Yeah.
like if you're on top or if you were on the seafloor. So I mean, technically, that would be a great place. Plus, you're still getting light and everything else. So
Yep. If you've ever seen a turtle or something swimming up onto a beach as the beach is lapping the turtle, the waves are crashing and stuff, and the turtle's just kind of floating in there amongst it
Yep.
until it gets up and off it goes. So that's
really
pretty cool.
interesting.
Yeah. And then, of course, there would be no good prediction, would be worth its weight in salt if there wasn't the death of the Earth involved, right? So
Yeah.
Beba has indicated that the death of the Earth is by 3797, which I just want to go back and say she was pretty specific with her dates in most of these.
Yeah, that's pretty right on. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
right. Why, around 4000 AD, she could have said and been right. But no, 3797, everything on Earth will cease to exist. However, humans will be advancing enough to move to a new star system. Now, this is only 13 of them, and I've done some other digging. And she also talks about colonizing Mars and Mars getting nuclear powers and then seceding from the Earth and things like that, too. So it's really cool. It's one of those things we just don't have enough time to cover everything, right? But it's really interesting and really cool. And when you go back and look at some of the stuff she talks about, and some of the, and it's not just U.S. centric predictions; it's global predictions that
Yeah.
she's been predicting. Oh, she predicted the tsunami as well. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. So that's really cool. But one thing that she had also predicted that we didn't talk about is that when she dies, she will be replaced by a young French girl that will then inherit her powers and carry on. And I have looked and Googled and went to
yet?
France for a couple years looking for this little girl
Yeah.
who would now probably be in her 20s or 30s, right?
Yeah.
Maybe even older. But I can't find anything. So I have a challenge to our Talk is Cheap viewers. Man, if you can send me any information about who this replacement was supposed to be, I'd love to do a show on that and find out, because it's really interesting, and that would just add so much validity,
Yeah.
especially if it came out that this gal said that I was told through whatever I was taking over for
But reincarnation doesn't happen instantaneously either. I mean,
Yep.
you could die and then be reincarnated at a later date
Yep,
in time
and,
too.
and I don't know as if she was alluding to so much reincarnation as that a currently living young girl would assume the
assume the
power
power,
similar
yeah.
to
Okay.
how she had gotten them,
So we need a tornado.
or some other natural disaster, and see if the
Some
gal
little
can
girl,
make it
yeah.
out.
But we also have parallel, or we can coexist. There can be another one of my
Yeah.
beings living right now that I'm not focusing on that, but we can exist in the same realm,
Yep.
and you just don't know it,
And now could that
Crazy.
individual potentially have these powers and you wouldn't know it?
right?
Right. That's the idea.
This
right?
reminds me of the Jet Li movie, The One.
The One. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It totally does.
I'm gonna start killing clones of myself, and that way I can become more powerful.
Good catch.
Yeah.
Channel.
Yep. Okay, so with that said, we're all doomed. Kiss your ass goodbye.
Well, no, there's good things in here. I mean, it depends on the way you look at it. You know, hunger eradication
suppose
is good.
it's not all
On to
doom and
Venus
gloom.
is good. The Mars thing's good.
The Europe as a
Underwater's good.
wasteland kind of thing, not so good.
Not so good. And but that kind of gets me now, because it says Muslims invade Europe, they take over Rome, but then they say Europe will cease to exist. So I don't think because at first I thought she was saying like the idea of Europe will not exist, but then she says it's an empty space and wasteland.
Yeah.
But then the Muslims are there, and then we go to war. Well, is that kind of contradictory?
I don't think so, because I'm going to probably get some hate mail for this, because if you look right now where the brunt of the Muslim population lives in the Middle East, I think that one could even consider a vast desert a wasteland. So
I
the Muslims
suppose.
have learned, and I shouldn't say it's not just Muslims, it's people in the Middle
People,
East
yeah.
have learned to live in these wastelands. So I could totally see how that would
I
be.
can see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
All right.
I'm really going to get some hate mail for that. Anyway, send all your
already
hate
did it.
mail to me to Dusty Long at K2D4 Network.
Hashtag bald
Bald
guy
guy
sucks.
Hey. All right. Thank you for watching, everybody. This is Talking is Cheap. Thank you, Dusty. Thank you, Dan. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
I like hot stuff, but I don't like that crippling hot shit. I mean, that's good, but if you eat, Andy's gonna feel those coming out. I tell you what, because Because I had 3 the other night, and I pert near just about launched off that fucking shitter when it came out. I was like, oh god, and, it feels like it's bleeding and shit. Oh, dude, and you do the quick peek. Okay, no, it's the right color, and you walk around. Then you get up and walk around. You kind of do the woo,
Can't sit down. Yep.
Yeah.
That kind of makes me think. Remember, Al Bielek was talking about how after that time everything was dead. I can't remember the date he said either, but that was pretty close. I think. To the same time.
And that's
27.
That's what I liked so much about this one is that it kind of jived with a lot of different stuff we had talked about in the past.